Hey, deserving listeners. So for the past year or so, a lot of you have been asking me to react to the music video for Hi Ren. So let's watch.
Deep down in the moment, we're in periphery. Rant on your pleased to see me. It's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me.
All right, so it looks like there's about to be two voices talking to each other. Maybe this is some version of himself, an inner voice, if you will.
And to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm ill. And I've been making some progress lately. And I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man.
Yeah. This is something that as therapists we think about a lot. There are particular forms of therapy that involve talking to yourself in this way to make parts of ourself explicitly different, maybe even naming them. And there's various different forms of this. Like I said, there's Gestalt, chair work, parts work, internal family systems. You can listen to all my episodes, deep dives on each of those. It reminds me of a friend I had in the 90s. She had what we called a zine back then. People were into going to the 7-Eleven, the corner store, and Xeroxing art or poems or comics. And in Seattle, there was, maybe there still is, a pretty robust underground comic book scene where the comic books deal with more difficult topics, adult topics. My friend had a comic. It was about herself, and she had this part of herself that she would interact with in the comic book. And this voice was, I think, similar to what Ren is portraying here. It's a destructive voice, a comfortable voice, a voice that hates himself and is a voice acquired from the past, a voice maybe that was internalized. You know, if you're yelled at and treated poorly, we will internalize those messages. And sometimes it can feel as though it's this entity inside of us. It's not like we're delusional, and sometimes it can manifest as that, but it's just a part of ourselves. Sometimes it's useful to think about this for all of us, right? There's an internal part of ourself that is sad, and there's an internal part of ourself that is needy. There's an internal part of ourself that wants to break free. There's an internal part of ourself that might be violent and, vengeful. And sometimes it's useful to get to know that part of ourselves by dialoguing with it. In my line of work, we might do empty chair work, where you'll have an empty chair in the therapy office, and the therapist will guide the client to imagine that part of themselves in that chair. Sometimes the empty chair work can be with someone in their life, like their father or something, but also it could be a part of the self. And then you have a conversation with the self, and then you can even switch chairs and sit in the chair with that part of yourself and have a conversation back with yourself. It sounds a little weird, but when you do it, it can be very powerful. Some of the most powerful experiences I've ever had as a therapist were with this type of therapy. And there's a lot of other versions of this. There's psychodrama and other. Anyway, so it sounds like what he is portraying is similar to my friend from the 90s. By the way, she passed away. You could argue in part due to this inner voice driving her to self-destruct in some psychological and physical ways. I won't go into it, but in that the voice is unpleasant but familiar, trying to invade, and the core Ren is saying, you know what, I've kind of learned some new coping skills. I don't need you anymore, so I'm trying to move on.
The pill boy, drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program, rejoice. All your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy. Nah, mate, this time is different, man. Trust me.
Wow, chills. Also, the lighting, a very simple use of the lights in the room to delineate between these two voices. Also, the camera angle and which way he's famous, or which way he's facing, which way he's famous, and also the tone of his voice, that sort of thing. And the internal voice is telling him, "Oh, you think that these doctors care about you, you're weak, you're taking these pills, you need to stop that, come back to me. Yeah, and some of you might be able to relate. Maybe all of us can to some extent. There's a comfort, actually Kurt Cobain had one of my favorite songs. There's a comfort in being sad, he sang. There's a comfort in being sad, and there is. It is something that releases us from having to try sometimes, depending. It can be very familiar to us. It can feel maybe like we're given a chance to feel, like when we're trying to engage in our coping and our healthy mindset, sometimes we can maybe swing too far in that direction and deny our humanity, deny our sadness, deny our needs. And we feel like if we indulge the sadness and the pain and the anger and the self-hatred a little bit, then it'll be a slippery slope. And sometimes it can be, but sometimes we take it too far by trying to clamp down on our emotions. And so there can be this dichotomy. And so we can feel like, I just want to let go. I don't want to have to constantly work at being healthy. Think about cutting or drinking or smoking weed every day or isolating oneself or involving yourself in some sort of food-related compulsion, sexual compulsion. There are ways that we deal with the pressures of life and the internal pain through these vices, through these habits, through these activities that can be temporarily relieving. That's why we do them. And often, if put to a voice, can sound like this, where that voice is like, you're just going to fall off the wagon in a month. Why are you trying to be sober right now? Why are you trying to be healthy? Why are you trying to take medication and have a healthy internal emotional? We all understand that you're broken. So that's another part of this, is that internalized voice is often a part of this, where whether you were told this directly or not, you might have been treated as though you were broken, that you were lesser, you were weak, you were just broken is the best word for it. And people will often independently, without even hearing that from other people, will have that word. Clients will just say, I don't know, I just feel like I'm broken. There's something irreparably broken. I can't put it back together. It's just broken. There's nothing anyone can do. I can't do anything. I've been broken. I'm flawed. No matter what I do, I will always have this with me. And it's terribly sad to me when people come to that conclusion, because it's not the metaphor that I would have, not even close. What I try to help people with is to realize that the fact that they're still here and alive and functioning, even half well, means that they're stronger and the opposite of broken than most people. Like myself, I didn't go through that kind of trauma. The fact that my life is going relatively well with some problems isn't a testament to my willpower or my strength. It's just a product of my upbringing and my environment and my privilege. For someone else to be even halfway functioning well, it is a testament to how strong they are and how much they've survived. It makes me want to cry thinking about it. And so it makes me wonder if Ren is in that space, struggling with that. So, you've been treated that way, or even if it's just someone ignoring you, your parents rejecting you, or obviously if they're attacking you and putting you down, those voices become internalized, unfortunately, and they become a part of us, and they start to say things to us, and maybe to other people, but also to ourselves. And that voice is like, you're pathetic. You are a joke. You'll never amount to anything. You're broken. You'll never be healthy. Why are you even trying? But also, it's related to compulsion. It can be helpful sometimes to external. This is a whole narrative thing as well. Externalization. I'm trying to resist to go into too much theory about this, but it can help sometimes to what we call externalize a part of ourselves. It's still a part of us, but it can be helpful to externalize it and say, that voice is not me. When I was younger, I felt like it was me, but it's not really me. I'm developing the me that is separate from that voice. That's an internalized voice. It's external to the me. It's inside of me and it's saying stuff to me, but there's a deeper part of me that is not that. And I know better. And that's when you can start to fight it. That's when you can start to say no. It's still there, but at least there's something that's saying no. And maybe that's what Ren is going through. I wonder if you rewind the tape 5 years ago, if he wouldn't have this part of himself that's about to talk back. So let's watch more of this. I can see why people would want me to react to this. But the rest of this video will just be for members of the YouTube channel. So if you want to see the rest of this video and all the other member exclusive videos, we have probably 40 videos that are just for members. And every week I try to post another one. So you can join the channel by clicking the join button below, or if you don't see that, there should be a URL in the description. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.